I do just want to say thank y'all so much for coming. Thank y'all so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, so I'm gonna have Dr. Sandifer get right on. Go ahead and let us know, and we're gonna chit chat it up.
Yes, so I'm Dr. Standifer-Barrett. I am one of the Black Girl Vitamin medical advisors, and I've been with BGV. Has it been 2 years now? We've been having fun in them two
All
years. So
right.
it's been 2 years. I love what I do. First of all, I love BGV as a company because when do you find a brand that not just supplies amazing supplements, but hosts webinars just like this. And it helps me because I do serve as a primary care internal medicine doctor. It helps me because I can't talk to patients at this degree and at this capacity. And so to have this space to do what I love and educate has been amazing. So I'm excited. We're gonna get into it and let's do this. And it's gonna be really, really informal, y'all. So don't if you have a question at the end, we're going to do our best to answer them and just feel comfortable. I want everybody to feel comfortable, like you at home or talking to your girlfriends.
Big perk. Stop playing with Dr. Sandifer. She's my fave. Okay. All right. It is. What exactly is diabetes, and what are the current statistics for how often it affects Black women?
Yeah. So, if you've been to a webinar before, you know I like to break down and have a foundation part first. So, diabetes in essence just means that the body has difficulty processing sugar. The normal cascade in the body is that every single cell, your muscle, your tissue, needs sugar or glucose. In order for those cells to get the glucose, they need a molecule called insulin to open up the door so that the glucose can go inside the cells. That's pretty much the crux of it. When you become diabetic, your body either one, if you're type 1, doesn't have insulin at all, your body doesn't make it, or two, with type 2 diabetes, your body's ability to use the insulin it has becomes resistant. So that same little piece of insulin doesn't unlock the door, sugar can go in, and sugar stays high in the bloodstream, which causes a bunch of long-term problems. For Black women are actually twice as likely to be diagnosed with diabetes compared to non-Black women. And about 1 in 9 Black women actually have diabetes, and a lot of them don't even know it. So it's very prevalent in Black women for a myriad of reasons that we're going to get into with these next questions.
Right. Go on to the next question then. Oh, there you go. So the next question is, I've heard diabetes can look different in us. What early symptoms should Black women be paying attention to? And I do want to emphasize on this question because there's pre-diabetes, which I didn't even know was like a thing, to be quite honest with you. I thought it was like either you had it or you don't have it. So I think just understanding like even adding to that, what is pre-diabetes and is that the early symptoms or
Mhm.
kind of that as well too?
Definitely, definitely. So pre-diabetes, so we generally use some lab tests to determine diabetic and pre-diabetic. Diabetes, we use a test called an A1C. That A1C is your body's 3-month report card of how well your blood sugar has been handled over a 3-month period. You can get a number anywhere between, I've seen it as low as 4% all the way up to, I don't know, 20%. So generally, when that A1C number is between, we generally say 5.7 to 6.3, 6.4, that range is pre-diabetes. So that's your pre-diabetic range. Diabetes is anything 6.5% or more. What that in essence means is that that percentage tells me, so for example, if a person is pre-diabetic and their A1C is 5.7, that tells me that any given time in that 3-month period, their blood sugar might have been in the 115s to 120s range. Normal blood sugar at any given time should be between 60 and 100. So, what that tells us is that your body in pre-diabetic status, your body is having trouble processing sugar. And it's a wake-up call that we need to make some changes that we're going to get into later too. Typically, though, most people don't really have a lot of symptoms with prediabetes. It's one of those things we draw blood and they're like, "What? I got prediabetes. What you mean?" And so we talk about different lifestyle things, et cetera, et cetera. Now, diabetes, though, again, most people have no symptoms at all. Or one of the most common things that I see in the office is actually recurring yeast infections. So women having yeast infections over and over and over again, they're doing all the things, taking all the medications, and they're continuing to have these yeast infections. And the thought is that when your blood sugar is high, that high blood sugar actually can feed some of the yeast that already live in the vagina naturally. We talk about the vaginal microbiome. And so if you get a lot of high sugar, that sugar is actually feeding yeast and causing more yeast infections. So that's one of the most common things I see in my office. Then some people can actually lose weight and they get excited that they're losing weight because who doesn't want to lose a little bit of weight, right? But they get excited about it, but that can also be a sign of diabetes. When you're constantly fatigued, always thirsty, maybe peeing a lot more, especially a lot more at nighttime, blurry vision, maybe some tingling in your hands and in your feet. If you notice that you have sores or anything on your body and they're taking a really long time to heal, that's another sign that you could have diabetes. And then another thing that I think a lot of people talk about is the darkness on the back of the neck. It's called acanthosis nigricans, and that can sometimes mean in some people that your body is becoming insulin resistant or pre-diabetic, diabetic. And then also sometimes too darkening in your thighs, like in your groin area, that can also be dark, and that can also be a sign of diabetes too. But most people say they're tired, they lose weight unexpectedly, or the recurrent yeast infections are like the most common things I see in the office, or feel nothing at
Interesting.
all.
Anybody have any questions? Please make sure you ask the questions that you need because I know I got some. So if you have any questions or if you have any questions, I can't really see the chat box, but if there are any questions, please make sure you ask just because this is a lot of good information that we do need to know as well too. Okay, and we will freely answer them for you. I do want to ask, so especially with the dark circles like in the thighs and stuff like that. So there's a lot like for myself, right? Like I've grown up with that. So what's the difference between growing up with that and having that versus like something that could be as a form of pre-diabetes?
So the only way to find out is if you have it, you go get your labs checked. Because
Okay.
it 100% could just be the way the good Lord made you. Or it could be your body's trying to tell us something.
Mm. And then
hmm
also that if you drink a lot of water, also, so what is kind of like that average level of water you should be drinking? And then
hmm
what is considered that too much water?
So it's gonna depend on your body
Okay.
type. I always tell people it depends on what other medical conditions they have. So like there are certain conditions that we don't want patients drinking a lot of water because you can overload the heart, like in heart failure. So in that type of situation, you have to kind of do a assessment from that. But generally, I say you should drink your body weight in kilograms per day in water. So if you step on a scale and you get a number, you can put that number into like your phone and convert it to kilograms. And that's generally where you kind of want to aim at in your water for the day. That's kind of a general rule.
Okay, got it.
But that might fluctuate because, like me, I drink coffee. I start my day with coffee, maybe some tea. And so if I'm drinking more caffeinated products, then I may need a little
Mhm.
bit more water to help prevent me from becoming dehydrated. If I work out a lot, I may need more water too. So it just kind of depends on where you are as well. But the general rule is that kilogram conversion.
Got it. Okay. Good information. Okay, y'all. Make sure y'all are asking questions, please, because we will also have an opportunity at the end for you to actually come on and actually just talk to Dr. Standifer as well, too. We do want to give you the opportunity as well, too. Next question is, if diabetes run in my family, how does that impact my risk and what can I realistically do to prevent it?
Yes, so if diabetes runs in your family, particularly a mother or father or first degree relative, your risk is very high, generally like 2 to 3 times the average person. I mean, truly type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes is more genetic. There's not a whole lot you can do. It can be purely genetic. And when you have it, and you just have to take insulin when you're type 1. But when you're type 2 in my world, unfortunately, it's a lack of exercise. A lot of people in my community, I can speak for Detroit. When I was growing up, we weren't taught to exercise, right? Like we went outside, we rode bikes and things like that. But exercise wasn't something I saw my parents doing. It wasn't something I saw my grandparents doing. Um, they were working all the time. You know what I mean? And so sometimes we have to look at how we grew up culturally and change a little bit of that to help drive better health. So, regular movement. I know, again, I'm a black girl too. I like my hair to be cute. And we don't work out as much as we need to, right? We don't, our hair, our makeup, our nails, or we just tired, we don't move. So in terms of trying not to get it, at least 150 minutes of physical activity a week. Balancing your meals, like making sure you're not eating a lot of processed foods, making sure that you're not eating a lot of sweets and cookies and candy and things like that. Your stress. Stress is a big thing when it comes to diabetes risk development because when you're stressed, your cortisol goes up and your body effectively is functioning like a diabetic at that point. And also your sleep. You need sleep for your body to regenerate itself, for the neurons in the brain to kind of recalibrate themselves. So all of those things are things you just want to kind of put in your life as a baseline. And then especially if you have diabetes, it becomes a non-negotiable in your family.
That's good. So you talked about stress and your cortisol levels. So I guess the next question is, how much does stress, burnout, and lack of sleep affect blood sugar levels in your body? You definitely
Oh,
talked about that.
man, here's a prime example. If a person has ever been on steroids, for example, maybe you have asthma or maybe you had a cold, you might notice that during a steroid time, which is pretty much cortisol, because cortisol is a steroid, your blood sugar can raise up. Cortisol makes it so that the blood sugar stays in the bloodstream because cortisol innately it's a response that your body needs to go into fight or flight mode. And so when you're in fight or flight mode, you need kind of like all the antes up so that you can kind of fight this bear or whatever that your body is perceiving it needs to fight. And so therefore the sugar stays high in the blood. And that is effectively diabetes, right? Burnout. Burnout can actually increase inflammation, some studies are showing. So making sure that you have some strategies in place so that when burnout feels like it's creeping in, you remember to yourself, like Dr. Sandifer said, burnout, stress, inflammation, diabetes, I don't want that. So trying to kind of balance that out. And again, the lack of sleep when our body is overly stressed and the first time we get a minute to breathe is when we lay down at night. So we're not sleeping because we're decompressing and just trying to balance all of that. But if I'm being honest, and I'm just gonna be honest with y'all, because it's us. I
Mhm.
struggle with this, right? As a doctor, I struggle with telling you sleep 8 hours, 10 hours a day, exercise every day, eat a balanced meal, go to work, be a parent, be a spouse, be a what all the things you need to be. It's really hard. So I just tell people to kind of choose one to two things at a time and try to slowly integrate those into your practice because to just make a 360 change is hard and that can in and of itself bring about stress.
It is hard, very hard, but it definitely does take time. And no, it's true. I never thought about um, picking two of those things and seeing what would, what could help. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So the next
Definitely,
is,
definitely.
how do hormonal changes affect my body, my blood sugar, and what should my A1C number and target range be?
Yes, so hormonal changes, if we think about pregnancy, that can 100% affect your blood sugar. I've seen people go from having lower blood sugar to higher blood sugar during pregnancy. Pregnancy can also be a stressor on the body, where pregnancy can also trigger gestational diabetes. So that's diabetes while you're pregnant. And then during menopause, actually, the menopausal transition in and of itself can also make insulin less sensitive, like we talked about as well. So hormonal changes can definitely impact your sugar levels. And generally a normal A1C, like I was saying before, is less than 5.7.
Less than five. So remember that, less
Hmm.
than 5.7. Okay. Having that number on my mind and making sure less than 5.7, y'all, less than 5.7. Next question
Yep.
is, what's the difference between pre-diabetes and diabetes, which you definitely talked about. I definitely did ask that question. And when should I start making changes if I'm borderline? That is good.
Yeah. So we talked about what prediabetes and diabetes were. Um, Pre-diabetes just you have a propensity to potentially develop diabetes. So think of it as your body's warning, telling you, hey, my body can't handle as much sugar. I think of it like if you guys have heard of like gluten intolerances, like I have celiac disease, I have a gluten intolerance. Think of it like I have a sugar intolerance. So I need to cut down as much sugar as I'm eating. So think about it from that perspective. And execute all those things we talked about, from exercise to movement to sleep to all the things to help reduce your risk lifestyle wise.
Got it. And with the food wise, is it sugar? Because I definitely heard like as I was growing up, my mom would be like, stop eating all that sugar, stop eating all the sugar before your cavities or your health and all of that. So is it sugar or is it also connected to other things that are fatty and all that other stuff too?
Oh yeah, sugar, carbs, it's all about what it breaks down into. So like carbohydrates, which are like your heavier potatoes and anything heavily saturated in carbs actually break down into sugar. Sugar is like the basic molecule that most things are built upon. And so that's what happens essentially.
Got it. So how can I make healthy eating realistic without cutting out the cultural foods I grew up with? And this is so key because I know for a fact, I know so many people, they're just like, I want to eat healthy, but everything else is nasty. Eating healthy is disgusting. It's nasty. It's this, it's that, and the third. So I think also understanding how could you eat your cultural, like the foods that you grew up with, but also making sure you're eating healthy as well too.
Yeah, I think portion is everything, right? Like I love cake. And it's Thanksgiving time. I like all the cultural foods, the mac and cheese, the greens, the sweet potato pies, the pound cakes, all the goodness that happens, sweet potatoes, all that at this time. And so I think it's just about number one, portions, making sure you're
Mhm.
not going back five, six, seven times for more food. And I think the other big thing too is for me, and I'm gonna say this as a holiday tip, as soon as you eat that heavy meal, take yourself and your family and y'all go out for like a 10-minute walk immediately after you eat. So most of us like to sit down, eat our delicious food that we get most for me, I just eat it one time a year because it is so good. And I just like to savor it knowing it's coming. But I say everybody get up and walk for 15 minutes so that your body can start processing and breaking down that food instead of everybody sitting down, taking a nap after they eat, just trying to change up what we do after we eat too. I think that's a big thing. But just portions, not eating a whole lot at a time and exercising.
So is it, so I think I was reading something and they were saying like you can eat what you want, but it also depends on like how you eat it too. So eating those foods that are high in fiber and then eating proteins and then eating carbs. So do you kind of agree with that as well too?
I do, yeah, because when you eat the fiber, it can actually help slow digestion, which can prevent those insulin spikes from happening. And your body can kind of break down the sugar a little bit better when you take it in with some fiber. Some people can say things like, instead of eating the fried chicken, air fry it. But I mean, let's be honest, it's Thanksgiving time, it's Christmas time. Eat the fried chicken in moderation. But just move your
You
body immediately after, for sure.
you can go back a second time, just not that third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. The
Exactly. And
second,
then try to eat earlier too. Like I know we like to eat dinner a little later, but earlier is also better to help the body break down before you just fall asleep with all that food on you.
no, that's true. That's true. Got it. How often should I be checking my blood sugar at home? And what type of monitor do you recommend?
So it's gonna depend on where you are. If you're pre-diabetic, I would suggest maybe checking it a couple of times a month, just so you know where you are. If you're diabetic, it depends on if you're on what medications you're on. If you're on insulin, most people need to check their blood sugar at least 3 to 4 times a day on insulin because insulin can drop your blood sugar. And then also, the other part is if you're on Ozempic, sometimes that can also drop your blood sugar, so knowing where your sugar lies too. The traditional way of checking blood sugar was a glucometer. Glucometers are where you kind of poke your finger, you get some blood sample out, you see what the number is. But what we use now in this 2025 is the continuous glucose monitor, where you can wear it on your arm. They have Dexcom as a brand, Freestyle Libre, Stello. And that'll actually tell you what your sugar is on a continuous basis. And you'll actually be able to guide what you eat and what you don't eat based off the numbers that you see.
Got it. Okay, have that information. Can diabetes impact my fertility, cycle regularity, or overall hormone imbalance?
Definitely. So diabetes can cause irregular periods for sure. It can worsen PCOS. It can affect your ovulation, infertility for sure. Because sugar, insulin, all those molecules, everything works together. So if the body, your blood sugar is really, really high, I've seen a lot of pregnant women losing their babies because the blood sugar is so high, and having a baby is already such a huge stressor on the body. So when you don't have a good control of your sugar, plus a baby now, it just puts more stress on the body overall. So we try to get people as healthy as possible before, most people don't know that they're pregnant when they become pregnant on the average, but we try to get people as healthy as we can just to kind of support a healthy pregnancy and your body after, right? You still have to live in this body after you have the baby too.
Yeah, that's true. And then McCray asks, can you use a continuous glucose monitor with being pre-diabetic or diabetic, and is a subscription needed?
Oh, yes. So with pre-diabetes, most insurances don't cover them, and some insurances don't cover them. Some of them require you to be on certain medications before they cover them from an insurance standpoint. There is a monitor called a Stelo, that's Stelo. You do not need a prescription for that, and it is a type of continuous glucose monitor made by the Dexcom team, and you don't need a script for that. You can actually buy one on Amazon.
Got it. And then I think
Stella.
she meant use a continuous glucose monitor without being pre-diabetic or diabetic.
Oh yeah, I use one. I actually use it to control what I eat and what I don't eat. I wore one and I found that when I'm not diabetic or pre-diabetic, I used to be though. But when I wore one and I drank some Pepsi, like 7 ounces of Pepsi, and it shot my sugar up to like 300. And that told me that my body can't handle Pepsi, if that makes sense.
Mm. Is
So
there any
yes, I encourage it.
is there any physical things that you see, especially like you saw that on the monitor, but did you see anything physical that you felt that your body told you that it couldn't handle that? Or,
No, that's the scary part. I didn't even feel the 300 sugar. And I
oh
only drank
wow.
about 5 ounces of it, which is the crazier part.
Oh wow.
hmm
Got it. If I start making lifestyle changes now, how quickly should I expect to see an improvement in my blood sugar levels?
So most people, it number one, it depends on how high your sugar was to begin with. But most people start to have more energy. That's like the biggest thing I see. Once we get diabetes under control, they're not feeling that heavy fatigue as often, and they feel more energetic. Generally, you can see a lower blood sugar level almost instantly. But it does take a good 3 months or so for you to actually see a reduction or change in your A1C level.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question. How can I tell if symptoms like fatigue or dizziness are from diabetes or something else like anemia, thyroid issue, or just I'm just tired?
Yep. So that's the problem. Everything can be a mimic. There's a lot of overlap with thyroid disease, anemia, and diabetes. Like they all can present with fatigue, dizziness, feeling off. So it's always best to just kind of know what your levels are before. But there are some clues, right? Like so if you notice some blurry vision or loss of vision, or your mouth is dry, that could mean that you're more or less diabetic. If you're noticing that with anemia, for example, if you have heavier periods or you're actively bleeding, then that'll kind of give us a clue into what might be the cause. But that's the problem. A lot of this stuff looks exactly the same and you won't know until we screen or test you.
So always gotta make sure you go get your testings and all of that is very
Always.
important. Got it. Are there specific vitamins or supplements that Black women should be taking to support blood sugar, energy, or overall metabolic health?
For sure. So vitamin D is one of my faves. There was a lot of research that's being done. So the problem with a lot of this stuff is there's not a lot of good studies that we can actually extrapolate data from. But when you start seeing multiple studies kind of showing some of the same things, it makes you kind of wonder and make some changes overall. So vitamin D is actually thought to help support blood sugar levels in women. Magnesium glycinate can, berberine can, holy basil can, cinnamon actually, ginger, ginseng. Ginseng though you got to be careful because I've seen people come in, they take ginseng and their blood pressure's off the chain. So you always want to make sure that the supplements that you do start to take do not interfere with any of your medical conditions or medications. Um, B12 can also help with blood sugar, probiotics, fiber. All these things can kind of help the body absorb food a little bit better and cause the lessening of high glucose levels or high sugar levels.
Mm. I didn't understand. I didn't actually know that with fiber, like taking fiber would help with that. I think I would always think about fiber as like, oh, it would help you become regular and all of that. So I never thought of it kind of helping in that idea or that area as well too. All right, y'all. Okay, we really do want y'all to go ahead and ask Dr. Standard for some questions. So if you have any questions to ask, please go ahead and unmute yourself. You can go ahead and ask freely. It can be anything in regards to what we talked about, any questions that you have to ask the doctor. Let me tell you something. Take advantage because definitely she's somebody who's very knowledgeable and will be absolutely 100% real with you when it comes to what you're looking for as a response to. That's why I love Dr. Standifer. So we'll give some time for you all to ask. If you do, please unmute yourself and we will go ahead. Anybody? Don't be shy, y'all. You can definitely ask a question.
I think they
Well,
shy, or maybe I answered everything well.
I think you answered it. I think I see Mish or Michelle. I see she's unmuted.
How are you all?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for taking to do this. It was very informative. The question that I had, and you might have said it, I was taking notes, so I might have missed it. But the question I wanted to ask, you said you wore a monitor and you weren't pre-diabetic and you didn't have diabetes. Could you tell me the name of the monitor that you wore and where you got that from?
I wore the Stello, the Stelo.
Okay, so you wore
Stelo.
that.
That's the one I
Oh,
wore. And you can get it, like I said, on Amazon or go
okay.
directly to the website and get it as well.
Okay, and I heard you say Stello, but I didn't know that was the one you wore. So thank you so
hmm
much for that.
You're welcome.
Stelo.
hmm
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Happy to help.
And was there any other question? Any other question? Looking like there's no other question. Dr. Stanford, you did a great job. Because like I said, I had a lot of questions. I answered it. I'm going to also send this webinar to everybody I know so they can get the information that's necessary, okay? Um, so since there's no other questions, if you do have any questions, put it in the chat or you can also unmute yourself. We do have a special code for you, glucose 20. Get 20% off of all products for 24 hours only. And it's all the products. So even she talked about D3, B12, probiotics, we have all of that. So I do want you all to go ahead, take a screenshot, use this within the next 24 hours because only for 24 hours. And we just want to say thank y'all so much for coming in. I know it's during the holiday season. Y'all probably all cooking, probably getting grocery, getting things ready for Thanksgiving week. Well, this Thanksgiving week, Thanksgiving Thursday. So we just want to say thank y'all so much. And we're super excited. And then thank you so much, Dr. Standifer, for taking this time to spend with us. We really do appreciate it.
Of course, I'm so happy to help. And I'm so happy y'all stayed on. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all are on this webinar, getting the knowledge and helping reduce healthcare disparities. This just makes me so happy.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Standifer. Thank you, everybody. And we will chat again on the next webinar. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.